much plug and play on anything. Don't need anything special.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's get started. Shall we?
Okay.
Is everyone ready and set?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm going to bring us in with a little jingle. Hey! So you guys, E3, is today the last day or is it officially over?
Yesterday was last.
Yeah,
day.
Yesterday was last day. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So it is officially over. So now me and my two good buddies thought that we'd sit down and talk about it a little bit. But before we get started, I'd also like to say that Ferris would have loved to be here, but he had real life restrictions, and we just wanted to plug Ferris. You can see him at youtube.com/Ferris or FerrisWheel32. FerrisWheel32 would be the guy. Nick was also supposed to be here, but he lives in Narnia and they don't have internet there.
Yeah.
Narnia.
And so, okay, I think we can get started. And the big question that everyone always asks every year is who won E3? So I could introduce you guys too. That'd be nice.
Cool.
NBZ is the guy. Let me figure out where he is in reference to me. He's underneath me.
I'm below.
Yeah, he's on
as
the
per
bottom.
usual.
On the bottom.
And Jake's that way.
Yeah.
So
yeah, there you go. That way.
yeah, he's that way. And okay. So anyways, I'll start off with Jake, because who won E3?
You want to know who really won E3?
I do.
I have two answers for this.
Okay.
The first
Are you
one,
gonna say something really cheesy and go the fans?
The gamers.
Yeah, that's one of them. But
I knew it.
The real true winners of E3 is Sony's PR and marketing team.
Yeah.
Because
The real winner of V3 is Shuhei Yoshida.
yeah, just everything that Sony did, they did right. Now they're just trolling Microsoft with their whole instructional video on how to share games with friends.
Yeah.
That video is fucking viral at this
That's
point. It's like views.
It's friggin'
20-second video. Absolutely incredible.
I think Sony knew going into this that all they had to do was one-up Microsoft, and they did it so blatantly obvious too. Like the whole you wanted the display at the end of their conference talking about DRM and used copies and discs and whatnot. So it's yours. Do what you want. That's kind of a big thing.
Right.
And of course, the whole price thing. The second they did that, I don't know if it was always going to be that price point, but
or if they were just like, hey, let's wait a second and find out what theirs is.
Yeah,
they didn't need to do that though. Like they really didn't. No,
I definitely think that it's $399 for the PS4, correct?
Yeah, $399.
No. It is. Is it? I thought it was $50.
I think it's $399 and $499 for the
Yes.
Xbox One.
Okay.
It's $100 difference.
Oh, it is the whole 100. Okay.
I remember reading an article about a week before E3 started, and it was along the lines of, based off the tech that is in both consoles, the PS4 could go for as little as $350, and they were speculating that the Xbox One would be at $399 or $400, because really it's the same thing. Just based off tech alone. So the fact that Microsoft went $100 above that and actually came out and said, we thought they'd be happy with that. I don't know what...
Well, the thing with Microsoft is, with the Xbox, is they are forcing people to have Kinect. And Kinect is an extra, cost on top of everything. And the fact this Kinect is supposed to be a lot more powerful, a lot more technically, driven. So
a lot more better.
A lot more better.
But the article I read, I'm pretty sure took that into account, because they knew that by then we all knew that it came with Kinect. Mm-hmm. To answer you, Nagi in the chat, he thinks that the PS4 would still be selling at a loss. No, I think that because at $400 they're going to be putting in a decent profit. Besides the fact that they did everything right, and all they actually, there's another picture I saw on Reddit today, and it was how Sony looks at their consumers, and they're looked at as customers, whereas Microsoft sees them as consumers. And there's a difference there where you can tell if you're a customer, somebody's going out of their way, they're taking care of you. Whereas a consumer, Microsoft basically is going to try and shove their dick down your throat, which if you look at Reddit or all over the internet, people aren't happy about. So I think that everything that Sony did, they're going to bring in a lot of new people who either left to go to Xbox 360 or have just never been a Sony fan, and they're just bringing them in. So if really, I think, like I said, the winners are the marketing team and the PR guys over at Sony. I think that they did everything right.
Yeah, they really did, and it's funny. I've heard one person who is still planning on being a loyal Xbox fan. It's my brother. He's not fazed by any of it. Like, okay, the always on the internet feature and like the checking in and all that stuff. He's like, dude, just think about it. You're always on the internet anyways. What's the first thing you do when you got an Xbox? You were on the internet. And I knew exactly when you got online. And I was like, okay, but like the Kinect, like being Big Brother and being always on, like that's creepy and weird. And you can't turn it off.
There are actual countries who are like thinking of banning that.
Yeah,
it's something to do with German.
Yeah, Germany is like, we're not cool with this.
No, it's totally uncool. And
that could be, very, very
kudos
big
to them
over this.
And to this is something that would affect Europe a lot more than us. But the Microsoft is coming out with on launch, I believe, 21 countries that the Xbox One will be available in. Poland is not one of these countries, and I say Poland because CD Projekt Red, the company behind the Witcher series, is based in Poland. They are not able to buy an Xbox One on release.
Jeez.
Microsoft has come out and stated via Twitter when their support team has been asked and said, I would recommend waiting until it's available in your country. So now that just basically says to this company, and if you haven't played the Witcher series, it's fantastic. It's actually on sale on Steam right now. Plug PC gaming all the way.
Yeah.
But it's a fantastic series, and that's a really big title for the Xbox One. And the fact that Poland's not a small country, if that's not available right away, I mean, like I said, Europe is really the ones that are going to be boned here. Not only are they paying more, but you're not even necessarily going to be able to play the game. I don't think that's not just bad, that's just wrong.
Yeah.
I think it just speaks to the larger problem that Microsoft are having, where they're being extremely US focused. You can see this a lot in their original reveal with the Xbox, where they're talking about all these TV services and all this kind of stuff, which isn't even going to be available in Europe. Most of these countries don't have those services, and all the stuff with the NFL and everything. Those sports aren't popular in Europe. People don't watch them. So all this connectivity between TV and everything is completely defunct in the entire region. So it's kind of a big deal that they're skipping out on all this stuff.
That's a very good point.
I remember hearing something along the lines of, I believe NBZ, you'll be able to correct me here, your big network is Sky or something along that line.
Sky,
and I think
Sky's big TV guys.
Yeah, I think they're trying to get a partnership with them.
Sure, I believe there is some kind of Sky integration on 360 already, so that would make sense.
Either it's a done deal or they were looking into it, which would help you guys. But the NFL stuff, nobody outside of the U.S. is going to give a shit. Yeah. I shouldn't say that. It's kind of going out there to Europe, but even so, it's definitely a U.S. based.
It's not going to be as popular. It's not.
No.
I know that using Sony, for example, and hopefully this gets changed, the Music Unlimited and the Video Unlimited features on the PlayStation 3 and will be the PlayStation 4 are currently U.S. only. But they also have, Amazon, Netflix, and all of that stuff. I don't know how many of these services are U.S. only, because as a Canadian, I just tend to stay away from most of them. But if that's the case, and they're really only focused on the U.S., they're pissing off too many people in the U.S. They're putting all of their money in the Call of Duty and Halo basket to keep their core gamers.
Well, what I've been saying is, like, they're basically looking for, like, the rich college bro. Like, that's their target right now. They're kind of, like, lumping in, like, all, like, this stuff, like, the typical, like, 18 to, like, 25.
Yeah.
It seems like their target market with disposable income. and they may hit that market, and they may not. I'm not really sure about what if they're going to be successful at all. But I'm sure we'll get back to Microsoft later. I'm going to get us back on track.
Sure.
And NBZ, who won E3?
I would tend to agree with Sony. Honestly, it was really not so much from the gaming perspective, because I think Microsoft came out a lot stronger on the gaming front in terms of new IPs and like just pure volume of games. They had far more games to show and more kind of new experiences. Sony obviously showed again the 4 games that we kind of knew about from their original reveal, but it was the last half an hour of that press conference when they fucking punched Microsoft in the gut. They were relentless, and you know it was so apparent that the entire you've never seen like this kind of reaction at E3 press conferences. It just doesn't happen.
I literally thought that the dude was going to start crowd surfing. Because, like, he had that much control over the whole entire crowd. Like, he could just do anything, and they would just eat it up.
There's a video, and it shows the crowd reactions between Microsoft and Sony just at the price reveals, and Microsoft is silent. You actually hear people booing, and Sony's like standing ovations. It's nuts. I have something to say about Microsoft in a little bit regarding their conference, but I think it'll come up in a little bit. So I'll let NBZ continue or Fizz.
So, no, I think the big thing was as soon as they talked about all the lack of DRM and the lack of used games being locked out, everyone on Twitter was like, if they say $3.99, it's GG. It's game over. Microsoft are fucked. And as soon as they dropped the $3.99 bomb, Twitter fucking exploded. It was
more so than the Kingdom Hearts reveal.
It was ridiculous. Like, holy shit.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible.
It was really both of those things together, which just absolutely cemented Sony's position. And certainly in the minds of people watching E3, the people who really matter, the early adopters, they're the ones who really care, and this is really cementing them for a strong holiday season with PS4. So
I just want to interject here really quickly to comment on Nagi once again in the chat. Saying,
I would like to.
Literally, the only thing still bad about Sony was the PlayStation Plus mandatory for multiplayer.
And the funny thing about that,
there's a meme on the internet, and it's scumbag Sony forcing you to pay $5 a month to get free games.
Yeah. Whatever. That's not gonna hit anyone. Like, okay, they're gonna win over a large market of Microsoft players, and that's not even gonna bug them at all. They're gonna think this is the greatest thing since sliced bread because they've already been paying $5 a month for Xbox Live and no free games.
And not to mention, it has been confirmed if it is a free online game. So using Dust 514, for example, is a free online multiplayer. You do not need PlayStation Plus to actually access that.
I don't think they've actually. I think they said it was up to the publisher. It was the publisher's decision as to whether it would.
They're saying they wouldn't chew that. Or,
they wouldn't have to.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I mean, as somebody who has PlayStation Plus, I know NBZ does as well.
Yeah.
$5 a month is a steal. They are essentially giving you money.
That's the amount that you pay for PlayStation Plus already, so you're just going to continue your subscription, and nothing really changes, honestly. As long as you're a PlayStation Plus subscriber, nothing changes.
And as they've already said, you get a PlayStation Plus, you have it now. Have it on all of it. And I don't know the way Microsoft works enough, but if they do this, well, then they've really screwed themselves, where different Xbox Live for 360 to the Xbox One. But I think the biggest issue with Microsoft and the Xbox One, and it's a really big article, and it's probably going to be their death sentence, is that Microsoft is choosing the life cycle of their console, not the consumer. I have a Super Nintendo just over here, and I play it almost daily. With the Xbox One, I can't do that, because there will become the point when as they did with Halo, Microsoft chose when to shut those servers off. There were people who were still on trying to convince them to keep the servers up, and then just shut it off anyway. And the second they do that, then, whether it's 10 years down the road, 15 years down the road, it's a brick, and you're forced to trade it in, which for a collector, that's really shitty. I know
Yeah.
so many people who have almost every console ever made, or they're working on it, and why would you force people to get rid of your console?
I don't
it's
get
a
it,
good
man.
point.
Like, it's crazy because I hear about when they shut down servers for certain games all the time on Xbox, and it's always like, I don't understand why you would do that. There's like so many people that still play that.
Yeah, I mean, I could understand a game that's not played anymore.
Yeah, like no one's trying to play Madden 2007 online.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, no, I don't even think anybody's trying to play whatever. We're at 13. Nobody's playing 12 anymore.
Yeah,
So,
exactly, even that. But like even older Halo games, people would still play if their servers were still available.
Yeah.
I don't think Halo 3 server is still up anymore, is it?
No, Halo 3, I believe, is still
It
up.
is? Okay. Well, I think
that
they
was
recently
something that
took
went
down...
through Reddit.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with Call of Duty as well. Like people still play Modern Warfare. You know,
Yeah.
it's a big deal.
Well, yeah, especially
with people.
with. I mean, it's different for sports games, I guess, but
Oh, definitely, yeah. It's...
for a game that comes out every year, some people just don't want to buy them every year.
Yeah.
And Call of Duty is a great example of that. I know people who still play, Modern Warfare 2 over anything like that. In fact, a buddy of mine plays Modern Warfare 2 all the time. He plays the PC version, which I think will always have servers, which is nice.
Yeah. You can have your own dedicated server on the PC anyway, right? So.
Yeah, man. That's true. So anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and agree here that Sony just kind of stole it. They basically had a bullet list of everything that people hated about Microsoft, and they're like, so you know how like Microsoft has to be online all the time, you gotta check in every day? We're not gonna do that. You know how like Microsoft's like, you can't get used games? We're used games, man, yeah. And also we're gonna be cheaper, and you don't have to have a Kinect that's like all up in your bedroom 24/7. So
also, if you get PlayStation Plus, you get Drive Club.
Yeah.
Drive Club.
You know what? Racing games, there's a ton of them that came out this year.
Oh,
It was.
But I guess at the same time, when it comes to showing off a new console, racing games are so easy. They don't require the same kind of intensity that an RPG or even a shooter would do. So
yeah.
to get the early life of your console, put out some racing games. Why not?
Right.
But
They all
Sony
seem to be going for the same tact on these racing games as well, like these open world, using
Like Need
team-based
for
stuff.
Speed.
Yeah.
Crew. It was the Crew Drive
The Crew
Club.
looks really good. It's one of those games though that I think I'll wait to see if I have friends who buy it and enjoy it. That does not look like a game like, I don't know, even Need for Speed that you would enjoy on your own.
Yeah.
Speaking of the online games and playing with friends and whatnot, there was a huge push for tablets and stuff.
Oh, so much tablet support.
I think like every game almost has some sort of tablet support.
And by the way,
Why not?
calling the airstrike on your phone.
Why not, man? Everyone has a smartphone or a tablet anyways now.
I feel
It's kind of cool.
As long as they make the stuff optional, it's really, I don't really care. If they just try and
You can't make something like that mandatory. You really can't.
No, they can't. It would be ridiculous if
The
they
only
did.
the only exception to that would be games like The Division, which they've flat out said are online multiplayer.
Yeah.
But that was
pretty cool.
That game came out of nowhere. I don't think anybody had knew. Like,
Sure.
it felt like even Aisha Tyler, the host of the Ubisoft conference, had no idea that was about. Because they came out and be like, "Hey, wait a minute, we got one more."
No, she actually confirmed that she had no idea because they basically they don't reveal to their host, who what's going to be the next game up.
Because whatever his name is, I honestly don't know. Came out to hold on a second, we got one more thing to show you.
Yeah.
And I think that was, I mean, even as a Battlefront and a Kingdom Hearts fan, I think The Division was the highlight because most of those were just teasers. This was a game that's just like, hey, I know you haven't heard of this, but this is a new Tom Clancy game. Have fun.
Yeah.
It looked really strong. It looked like a really fucking cool game. I'm excited.
Yeah. The thing with Ubisoft and trying to push these like dystopian futures with strange security and kind of Big Brother is watching and that kind of thing. It's kind of
the intro to that, even before like the gameplay, I was
it's like you will die from touching money. Like
I thought this was going to be some sort of another zombie game, and then it was really fucking cool.
It was. I was just kind of like scanning through because I missed the Ubisoft conference, so I was kind of like, oh, okay, there's this happened, just like kind of scrubbing through like the actual like video of the conference, and I got to there and I was like, well, wait a tick, that's really cool.
Although I don't know, I felt like the rest of the Ubisoft conference was kind of weak. It felt like a rehash of last year, honestly.
Yeah.
You had Watch Dogs again, you had Rayman Legends again, you had Just Dance, and you had I think it was Rocksmith, or was that EA? I can't quite remember.
That's Rocksmith, yeah. They had Rocksmith.
No, Rocksmith was there,
Yeah.
So it was pretty meh.
Apart from the Divide at the end, which was the nice big reveal, it was a pretty meh.
The Division, not the Divide.
The Division, sorry. Yeah.
I did.
It's not a math game.
No.
I do like Watch Dogs though. I think that's pretty good. I think.
Watch Dogs
cool.
continues to look really, really smart. Like
I remember, I think they announced it last year, right?
I was actually they did.
Watch Dogs was the big surprise.
I remember being really skeptical of it last year, and and now it's kind of looking cool. Yeah,
absolutely acceptable. But I was a little surprised that they showed the gameplay during the Sony conference. Yeah. As opposed to the Ubisoft conference, which I'm not really cool with. Although I did think it was really funny that Assassin's Creed got lag.
Oh god, it froze up so badly. And I think that was another big theme of E3 this year. There was technical problems everywhere. Microsoft sound cutting out on the Crimson Dragon, and then the Battlefield thing, which messed up. And the same with Sony with their demos both lagging out. Even Nintendo got fucked because no one could watch the Nintendo Direct stream. It wasn't working for anyone.
The Watch Dog one lagged a little bit? I didn't really notice that.
No, not the Watch Dogs one. The just Assassin's Creed.
Right after that, they went to Watch Dogs. It must have been a different concept.
Yeah.
But,
so I'm pretty sure that this question here is probably going to only apply to me. But did any of the conferences sway you to get a new system?
Well, I mean, I actually, yes, I was actually not 100% sold on the PlayStation 4.
Really?
Yeah.
Were you considering an Xbox?
No.
Or were you considering nothing?
I was mostly considering nothing. I really needed to hear a lot of the things that got said by Sony. And the last thing I need to know, and it hasn't been confirmed yet, is if I put in a PlayStation 2 or a PlayStation 3 disc into my 4, does that game become unlocked through the Gaikai service?
I would tend to think that no. I would tend to think it would be done purely through Gaikai, as opposed to you having to put a disc in.
Yes, but I mean, so it recognizes that I actually own the game as well.
Yeah, I mean, certainly with PS3 stuff, they can pull that from your PlayStation Network account, right? Because they'll know the saves and stuff that you have, so they can say, you own this game, and you'll be able to download it or stream it through the cloud. So certainly
I think the issue there is, and this would be big for the US. You go to the Redbox and rent a game for $1. You have a save file on your console.
Right. Okay.
Sony recognizes that you own the game, and then you suddenly have a bunch of games you don't own. Which is why I think that if you have, obviously anything you purchase through the PlayStation Store, you're going to keep.
Right.
It's my physical copies of things I need to know.
Right. Yeah. No, that is a bit of a gray area.
Things, then, I mean, I'll probably still buy the PlayStation 4, but I will wait. It was whether or not on launch, and at this point I am 99% sure that I want it on launch, assuming I can afford it, which it's all going to be based on trade-in value of my PlayStation 3. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I was hoping that the Xbox One would be a lot better than it had been, and it just wasn't.
There
were a lot of... Sorry, Fizz, you go.
Okay, yeah. With the Xbox, I think it can be. I think it's gonna be a great system. It's just a small problem with how they're restricting it, and it's really not cool. I think that's literally the only thing that's gonna stop it from being a good big system, is that people are gonna be wary of always on and not being able to loan out a game, and
There's-
having to
there's
check
that.
in. Yeah, it's just
I didn't see a lot of really strong Xbox One exclusives out there either.
new Halo, bro.
A
That's
lot of stuff
about it.
also. You got to remember a lot of stuff that they
Forza.
announced.
It's cross-platform.
Yeah, well,
Is
yeah,
Forza?
and also
Forza's-
no, Forza isn't. Forza exclusive, but
Yeah.
they were saying a lot of stuff was exclusive, like Titanfall, like Major
Yeah.
Nelson tweeted.
Yeah, there was
exclusive
legitimate
Xbox One.
Xbox toy, and people were like, "You're fucking dumb."
Yeah, it's like it's coming out on 360 and on PC as well, by the way. So that's not an exclusive.
Yeah, that's why I was watching. I went back and watched the Microsoft conference, and it's like most of these games are going to get on PC anyway. I don't care.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's a big point to make. Is that
Not to mention,
yeah.
this was confirmed by people at E3, but a lot of the Xbox One demos were actually PC.
Yeah.
The live
The Battlefield.
the
one.
Battlefield one had like the
What?
back space in the corner.
Yeah.
There were actual booths set up for that were apparently the Xbox One on the floor, and there's a picture of a guy opening it up, and it's a PC box. It's definitely not an Xbox One.
Wow.
So that's
Yeah.
poor Microsoft. What are you gonna do?
I will say this though, and if this is actually true and not just a rumor, it's really surprising. But apparently Kingdom Hearts is going to be on cross-platform.
That's what I heard.
Both
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 15 and Kingdom Hearts 3 are
Final
both.
Fantasy, I understand because they
Yeah.
started that a few.
Yeah, exactly.
ago.
13 was out on 360 as well. So
But
Yeah.
to do that with the game, like it's not like you can go back and play Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 on Xbox One. I would imagine. I think Sony's going to try and keep their stranglehold on those. So why would you go buy Kingdom Hearts 3 on Xbox One? Because that's one of those games that you probably want to play the previous installments of. It's not like Infamous Second Son, which is going to be completely standalone game.
Yeah.
Or
not to mention, there's also the HD remakes, aren't there, of Kingdom Hearts coming out on PS3?
yeah, I don't know.
Are they?
Have you
Yeah.
said if those are?
I'd assume that they would.
Yeah.
If they're gonna make the new Kingdom Hearts game cross-platform, I don't see why they wouldn't have a HD collection on Xbox as well.
Yeah. It would make sense to do that too.
Unless Sony can convince them to keep that just for me.
Sure.
I doubt it.
You know what? It's possible. Right now, Microsoft is not exactly helping people out.
Yeah, that's true.
Kind of
So,
like how EA almost backed out of the Wii U, and it was like, hey, wait a minute, we probably shouldn't do this.
Yeah.
EA have really poor messaging around Wii U right now because they literally have 7 different people telling you 7 different stories, and it's ridiculous.
So hey, MPZ,
Speaking of EA had
Yeah.
a really good E3.
think so?
I'd say they had a decent one.
When
yeah,
I say one person, I mean DICE, but
yes,
let's-
DICE, obviously.
DICE, Mirror's Edge 2, Battlefront, Battlefield looks really good. That's all EA. Like they actually
Yeah.
did.
They actually had a really good conference. Yeah.
Aside from the fact that a lot of they spent way too much time on the EA Sports titles. Just way
far too much time.
Um,
No,
I
a
skipped
lot of
all
people
of it.
complaining about that. And I think it would be really nice if they just had a separate EA Sports conference and that I just had to ignore. It would be fine. I would just not watch that, and they could do that on their own. It would.
Then I think it's way too much or there's not enough to put in its own conference because
Yeah,
It would have to be like a mini.
Oh my
a mini
God.
kind of thing.
Could you okay? I like EA Sports. I cannot fathom sitting through an entire hour-long conference.
Exactly. I
of
love
EA
EA Sports.
It's so
but,
boring.
The problem was it was just this huge block in the middle. It was sport after sport after
Dribble
sport. And they didn't really
technology.
have any. Exactly. They didn't have any
UFC technology
really
is so real. It's like we break into your house and punch you in the face. It's like, can you just punch me in the face so I can sleep through the rest of this conference?
Yeah, word. So hey, MBZ. I doubt
What's
it,
up?
but did any of the conferences sway you a little bit?
I would say going into E3, I didn't have an intention of getting a next-gen console, purely because I just dropped a lot of money on a new PC, and my PC can run stuff perfectly fine. It'll be able to run games the next few years anyway.
What are your specs?
I have... I know my
He's
specs.
looking at the stickers.
Yeah, he's looking at the stickers. He's got the boxes behind him.
Yeah.
I'm
He's like,
running
fuck
an
you, I'm gonna know this time.
I'm running an i7 3770. I have 16 gigs of RAM,
Okay.
NVIDIA GTX 660 graphics card. So you know, it's up there.
Okay, so you're like, I'm not really gonna get a next gen console. I got a Wii U already,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. You know,
Yeah.
I've already wasted my money on a console that has no games, so thanks. And
Oh.
Shots fired.
but the thing with PS4 is that the price point is so appealing at this point because it's $350 in the UK, and I think that's like a margin that I could go into. You know, I think that by that point I'll have the cash. I'll be like willing to put down on it, and also
You have a PS3 you can trade in too.
Well, I wouldn't do that
Yeah.
just because I want to keep the games on PS3 and there's no backwards compatibility with the disc, at least for the current.
Yeah, I mean
point.
that was the other thing too. If I heard that they said, yeah, your disc, you plug them in, it gets unlocked on the Gaikai, or even if you put it in and then you just stream it through the Gaikai service and you don't actually download it, I'm still fine with that.
Yeah.
And then I'm just like, yeah, fuck it, I'll trade in my PS3.
Yeah.
If that's the case, then yeah, eventually I probably will do. But I think the game that turned me was Infamous, and seeing much more of that gameplay really got me excited about that game. I'm a big fan of the first Infamous. I have the second one on PlayStation Plus, so I'm going to play that very soon. But that's the game that really cemented it for me, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm also very interested in Knack. I kind of like those kind of
That game looks really good.
Which one was Knack?
It's the platformer from Mark Cerny, who worked on Crash Bandicoot and
Yeah,
stuff.
the little dude who kind of grows based off what's around him. He's like a little robot guy.
Yeah. It's a very big showcase for all the particle effects and everything that they can do on the new hardware. So I think that's a game that looks very interesting. Cool. So I'd probably pick up a PS4 at launch with Knack, and then obviously Infamous comes out in Q1 2014. So those are the titles that I would be looking at. But yeah, no, I was certainly swayed quite a bit by Sony's conference. Into getting a PS4, which I didn't really expect going into it, honestly.
Right.
So.
As for myself, like I was really hoping that I'd hear something from Microsoft going like, "Hey, we fucked up. Let us fix a little few things here." But I didn't hear that. I did see a lot of cool software from Microsoft, and it made me sad because Sony was the first. Actually, I missed Microsoft altogether, and then the first conference I saw was Sony, and I was like, well. They kind of just took a huge giant shit on Microsoft, and then I watched Microsoft back, and I was like, well, Microsoft looks pretty good if it weren't up for all this shit that we don't like. And so now I'm probably going to get a PS4. As I said before, my brother, he doesn't really give a shit. I think he's still going to get an Xbox One. So if we continue to live together for a while, I won't have to worry about it. And also... lately, I've been playing the Wii U, at department stores and stuff, and I think they had a pretty decent showing, and they definitely have games that I want to get, and I'm considering a Wii U as well. But the problem is, I can't have a Wii U and a PS4, and if given the choice between the two, I'm going to get a PS4 every time.
Sure.
Yeah. Unfortunately, because I think that the Wii U is fun.
Yeah, you know what? I potentially will end up getting a Wii U at some point down the road.
They have decent games.
The problem that I felt with Nintendo's conference this year, it was too safe, right? There was no surprises, and I feel a lot of people were disappointed.
Cat fucking Mario, bro!
Look, Cat Mario.
It's a villager in Smash
Mario!
I'm excited for Mario 3D World. My opinion's changed a lot on that as things have gone on, and I've kind of thought about it a bit more. I'm very excited for that game because Mario 3D Land is possibly the best 3DS game there is out there. You know, obviously Fire Emblem Awakening has a special place for me, but 3D Land is a very, very good game, and I'm very interested in seeing a sequel to that and how that plays on Wii U. But I feel a lot of people were disappointed mainly with Retro because Retro Studios games are what they did with Metroid Prime and how groundbreaking that series was and how visually incredible it was on the GameCube back then. These are the guys who can really pull off a showstopper. They can pull off a visually impressive game that whets the appetite for Nintendo fans, and we find out they're working on another Donkey Kong. which is just a bit of a disappointment, honestly. I would have liked to see them work on new IP or even on another Metroid, and they're working on new Donkey Kong. And I know the Donkey Kong game's going to be great. I just finished playing Donkey Kong Country 3DS on my 3DS, so it was a fantastic game. 3DS on my 3DS.
Yeah.
And I know this game's going to be good as well, but it feels just it feels lazy, honestly.
Yeah.
I want to see. I saw this on Reddit. I think it would be like the greatest thing ever, and I would totally buy it. But do you guys remember the GameCube had the attachment where you could play your Game Boy Advance games on the GameCube?
Yeah.
Yes.
The guys make that for the Wii U, but do it with the 3DS. So the big controller is your touch screen,
Yeah.
and then on your screen you could play Fire Emblem or anything like that. I would jump on that.
Yes, if they put
so
the
amazing.
Game Boy Player equivalent for the
Yeah.
3DS.
Yeah, I would fucking jump on
Oh,
I don't know.
my God.
I'm kind of curious as to why they haven't even thought of that, or if they have thought of
Yeah.
it, why haven't they done it?
yeah, and I think there's this
possibly because of they really wanted to push just the Wii U right now, because I
That's a
think the
good
Wii
point.
U needs a lot of help.
They do.
Because let's face it, if Nintendo ever loses the mobile market, like the handhelds, then Nintendo's done. Like that is their market. And if
well, they don't have any competition.
you know what, I really want to buy a Vita. That
You're
swayed me
insane.
towards that too. Okay,
Yeah.
Sony swayed me to. I didn't want one. I didn't even want to buy a 3DS because the only game right now that I really want is Fire Emblem, and I can really wait. I don't care.
Fire Emblem is worth buying a 3DS for.
Not at that price point when you don't have any money. But the Vita, I'm like, I actually really want a Vita right now. So there's the other thing that I got swayed towards.
How hackable is
The
the
Vita's
Vita?
got a ton of games.
That's what I want.
I mean, mainly because you don't have to buy any because you have them all through PlayStation Plus.
Not even that. It's just there's a list. There's a lot of really good titles for the Vita.
I think it's a bit of a misnomer that Vita doesn't have any games because
Yeah.
there are a lot of them.
People say that it doesn't, and then they looked it up, and there's games that got really good reviews, really good scores on Metacritic and stuff. And it's just, I think its biggest issue were its price point, which if it gets lowered again, I'll probably get it, and its low battery life. But
Yeah.
for a game that can play console quality game or a handheld that can play console quality, I think a 4 hour or something like that, 4.5 hours is what
It's not bad.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
I'll just get a car charger and a house charger. That's fine.
Sure.
How do we know how hackable the Vita is?
I don't know how well people have tried with it. PSP
Because
apparently.
The
used to
PSP
be
was
really easy, didn't it?
Yeah, it was, and it played almost every emulator that you could want it to play.
Yeah.
So that's just something that I'd like to know just to know.
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling it would still be able to do a lot of that stuff.
Probably.
The things you wouldn't be able to do
Sure.
are what you can do with, or what we can do with the DS and Wii.
Yeah.
Because it has those really fucking odd memory cards. That's the other thing that Vita's got a problem with. They need to fix.
That is another thing that's holding me back from getting a
That's
Vita
right.
is the fact that because I want PlayStation Plus games and they are all downloadable, obviously.
Yeah.
So I want like a 64 gig memory card. Problem is, a 64 gig Vita memory card is like 3 times the price of a normal 64 gig memory card, which is
So that's
That's so
ridiculous.
stupid. That's like
ridiculous.
the dumbest thing they've ever done.
Yeah, it's a big screw up, honestly.
All right,
So that's another thing.
you guys. So I mean, we've all basically kicked Microsoft while they're down. Is there
obviously.
Is there any way you would consider getting an Xbox One at this point?
No.
NBZ?
I feel like if they somehow go back on their policies about DRM and about used games, then there are some cool things. Like we didn't talk about Project Spark. I think that was a really neat idea, honestly, and it looks really,
It was really cool,
fresh and interesting. From a gameplay perspective, I'm not quite sure how fleshed out that can be because it seems like a very much a world building tool and kind of a very kind of Little Big Planet-esque creation suite. But it was a really cool thing, and I think that the way they implemented Kinect with that was kind of neat with the voice commands, and it was very instantaneous. Although, given Microsoft's the way they presented the Xbox One originally with the instantaneous nature of the Kinect, which apparently isn't that quick. If you look at like there were wired videos on the Kinect, and apparently it was lagging a lot, and there were some problems with it. So I'm not sure if we can really trust that was an instantaneous thing with Kinect, but it still looks really cool, and it's one of the games I'm more interested from the Microsoft press conference.
I say no because there's nothing that you could sway me to buy a 360 either. So
yeah,
I don't play online shooters, which is really all I find that Microsoft has to offer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Fair
it's true. They do have that kind of market, especially even with Titanfall. Like Titanfall looks really cool, but it's still at its bare essentials of shooter. So
I'll get it on PC where it'll look better.
Exactly. It's on PC as well. So
I think at this point for me, I'll probably just hold on to my 360 because it makes R2 noises. So.
Oh yeah, you got the Star Wars one. I would that's collector's edition kind of stuff.
So
another point I want to bring up quickly is Don Matrick and his comments when he was being interviewed by Jeff Keighley.
Oh.
So
what did
Jeff
he say?
Keighley asked,
I'm Microsoft. This is the gun, and this is what they did.
So Jeff Keighley asks him, he's like, what if people don't have internet? What do they do?
He said, keep your Xbox 360.
Like, well, we have a product for people who can't use the capabilities of Xbox One. It's called Xbox 360.
I couldn't believe when I heard that.
Really?
First of all, it is important to note, and it's not something that a lot of people technically know, is that was said before Microsoft's conference. So if it was afterwards and he said that, then that's the nail in the coffin. But he said it with such a snide voice.
Yeah.
And
totally cool.
The internet just unanimously was like Microsoft's worse than EA, pretty much. It was bad.
Yeah. All right.
It was
so
a bad move.
Let's move on. I think we covered the next thing that I had written down pretty heavily. So I'll just move on past that. And what are you most excited about from E3? Where it be as game or system, either one. Or both. You tell me.
I think I'm equally as excited for Battlefront as I am for Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah.
Fair.
But I've already said it before, The Division, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, MBZ?
For me, it's got to be Smash Brothers at the top of the list. That's
sure.
the big one. That was the actual, that was the exciting trailer that Nintendo gave us. That was the big thing that I was super pumped for. And the reveal of the character. I think, if one thing that Nintendo could do absolutely fantastically.
Meowario?
Yeah, that too. But the one thing Nintendo can do fantastically is a Smash Brothers reveal, and they nailed it. I thought it was a fantastic reveal.
They did a good job with it, I think.
So
again, though, it wasn't like it was a big surprise to anyone, I don't think.
It wasn't a big surprise, no. But
the big surprises were the Villager and the Wii Fit later.
Exactly. No, those were big surprises. It was certainly interesting. It was also kind of interesting to see how they were distinguishing the 3DS version from the Wii U version, which I like. I like that they've made it kind of cel-shaded on the 3DS and distinctive, because I feel like, with Sony, with their PlayStation All-Stars, it was the exact same game across both, which was cool in terms of, interplay, and you could use the Vita as a controller. But I like that it's two kind of distinctive experiences. It feels like you're probably getting, your money's worth for buying two versions as opposed to just buying getting the same game twice over.
Well,
at this point I'll probably only be getting the one, since I won't have a Wii U.
Right, but
however, if I did have a Wii U, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'd probably still only get one. It'd just be the console version though.
But they said an interesting thing about the stages in both of them, how they're going to take handheld franchises and create stages from those franchises for the 3DS version, and then use console franchises for stages in the Wii U version. So you saw like Spirit Tracks on the 3DS version. They're really cool. And then you saw the Skyward Sword thing on Wii U, which kind of contrasting those two. So that was interesting.
My favorite thing though about the Smash Brothers reveal that wasn't Mega Man?
What?
They had a stage that was just a wrestling ring. I love it.
Yeah.
Pretty sweet.
Yeah.
A lot of people are feeling like that was going to be leading into like a Punch-Out reveal or something. But
Mac!
that would be cool. But apparently, like, that's just a Smash Brothers.
What was this trainer's name? Because that's who I want to play as.
Oh yeah, just a trainer. That'd be sweet.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So yeah, apparently that ring is going to be like Final Destination, like Battlefield or whatever it's called, the other stage.
Yeah.
It's a Smash Brothers exclusive stage or whatever. It's just a Smash Brothers branded stage.
Jerome Doc Lewis. Okay, that's who I want to play as.
Yeah.
That would be it.
There are a lot of games that I'm really excited for.
Yeah.
People are naming them off in the chat. Dragon Age Inquisition, I'm gonna probably buy day one because I love that series. Okay, I'm gonna say this, and this is the guy that doesn't like shooters. Destiny looks really fucking good.
It looks visually, that game is gorgeous. Holy shit! Like that thing looks crisp. Like holy crap.
Technically it's at E3, but it came out yesterday. The Last of Us. I came out today. What am I talking about? Holy crap!
It came out today. Yeah, it's out already.
Yeah.
It's out now.
That's so crazy.
I can't buy it until next paycheck.
Yeah.
But, there's that. Just like to point out Troy Baker, man, that guy.
Hello, my name is Troy Baker. I am the next Nolan North.
I am the guy who just did the best 2 games of the year, and I'm just gonna sit back and enjoy them now.
And speaking, I was going to say that the other game I'm really excited for, obviously, is Infamous Second Son. Troy Baker's the main character in that as well.
Is he really?
Oh, he is, yeah.
Damn.
He's playing the main character in that.
The other game that I'm really excited for, and the trailer looks really good if you haven't had a chance to see it yet, was Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2.
I have not seen it yet.
Oh, I haven't seen that trailer either, no.
It looks really good, and I was one of those people who actually enjoyed Castlevania Lords of Shadow. It wasn't a fantastic game by any means, but I definitely got my enjoyment out of it. And then to see the trailer for the second one, it looks pretty boss.
Yeah.
Nice.
This is something I should check out, certainly.
Yeah.
I know that there was the 3DS version, which was very mixed reactions to. It didn't seem like a very solid game. But I know that there's a certain subset of people like you who enjoyed the first Lords of Shadow, so certainly seemed like a cool game.
To comment on Augie once again, it's because Symphony of the Night was kind of a hidden gem. Symphony of the Night didn't really get its recognition until even just a few years ago.
Again, if you think about it and how the industry has moved on, the numbers are just bigger in general at this period as opposed to back then when games were selling. So it's just it is naturally gonna sell more anyway, just because of the nature of how large the industry is at this point. So that's another reason why it is selling more.
You say that, but the numbers have been going down. There's a list, and MEOW, you've probably seen this image because it deals with the third console curse. And the numbers go down dramatically between each of the years because people either they stop buying them because they're starting to get too expensive, or they just they like their old consoles.
Yeah.
I'm sure that there are gamers. I think who was it? Was it Sony's conference that was talking about there was 1 billion gamers in the world?
I can't remember.
There was some. It was
but
right at the beginning. Right at the beginning, I think it was Sony's conference. And my initial comment to that was, no, did you not hear the UFC thing where everybody likes a good fight, so we're all technically gamers?
Yeah.
But if that's the case, then there's actually 1 billion gamers in the world, which I'm not surprised if there is.
Yeah.
No.
That's 1/6.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you define the word gamer, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Is the guy sitting on the train playing Temple Run a gamer? It's a very hard to define term. Yeah, it's a hard to define term at this point.
Yeah.
It's like,
so I mean, I could go. There's 1,000,000.
1,000,000
people who
I just
like
want
me.
that to soak in for a second.
1,000,000.
I don't know, man. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It's such a a crazy it's a manipulative term. You could have it mean several things.
Yeah.
As for me though, guess what I'm most excited about?
Battlefront.
Yup, nailed it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be the best game in the history of games.
Instantly.
Yeah. It's thank you for that. I was at work, so I missed it. And then Jake tweets me, he's like, "Fucking Battlefront 3, man." like, I shat
I
myself
did
at
the
work.
second I saw the snow, like I was like, "That's Battlefront."
Yeah.
I didn't even have to hear the lasers go off or see the AT-2020 or anything like that. It's just, it's Battlefront.
I mean, from the past year, I mean, we've been like dealing with like stuff that's similar to the Star Wars shooters, and we've had like all this like teasers, and maybe this will lead to that. It was only a matter of time before we actually got it. Like,
I'll tell you right now, though, if Visceral doesn't pick up Star Wars 1313, I will be disappointed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a shame that game kind of got left out. And
I think Visceral, if they bring it back, I think Visceral is the perfect company to do it. Because they wanted a more mature Star Wars game. What better company, since EA is the one making them now, than the guys who made Dead Space?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, certainly.
It's like the perfect game for them too, I think.
Yeah.
It's a really good concept for them, because I think it matches up a little bit with Dead Space anyways. So.
Now, I have one thing to say. It's going back to Microsoft for a second. It's about a game. Weeks ago, when we heard that Rare was bringing back an old title, I immediately called it was going to be Killer Instinct. My buddy thought it was going to be Perfect Dark. I was like, it's not going to be Perfect Dark, and I guarantee you it won't be Banjo and Kazooie.
Yeah.
But
someone told me that they like Killer Instinct was like a thing, and I thought it was a joke. Until I rewatched the conference, and I was like, "Oh, you are serious?"
Here's the main problem with Killer Instinct, is that I believe it's going to be a free-to-play game, so everybody can have it, but you have to pay money to unlock new characters.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a free-to-play fighting game. Buy your characters.
So can I just bring Capcom, around the shoulder and just point at Rare and be like, see what these guys did wrong, like a year ago with the whole Street Fighter X Tekken Day 1 DLC bullshit that people hated? You just did something worse than that!
Well, I don't think it's really that bad. It's a free-to-play game, so you're not paying for it in the first place. So the way that they're going to make that money...
Someone has to pay me to play Killer Instinct, okay?
Yeah. It's like saying League of Legends is a free game. Nobody that plays that game that actually plays that game, because there are a lot of people who have tried it, Fizz, and they don't pay anything on it. But if you have actually played that game, you spent money on it. And if there's no in-game currency to unlock new characters, and you only get one they give you, there's no reason to play Killer Instinct, because unless that is your favorite guy, in which case, by all means do it. But this is a fighting game, and if you follow competitive fighting games, there's a tier list for a reason. Some characters are just better. And in Killer Instinct, if you have the ability to buy the best character in the game, you're going to have an advantage over somebody. And as somebody who has tried to play online once in his life and got so demoralized, it was like playing StarCraft against a Korean.
It is a hard fate to take on, my friend.
Like, I'm picturing the dude that I played against. He's like got the he spent more on his Mad Catz controller than my PS3 costs, and all this time practicing because he knows all the combos and how to macro. And I'm just like, fuck.
And like in the wide world of fighting games, he probably still isn't that good.
Hey, you know the fighting game that I'm excited for? Fucking Dive Kick.
Dive Kick looks pretty fun.
Dive Kick looks awesome.
PAX East was when I saw it. Yeah, PAX East. And I just want the 2 button. Like, I want to get that controller.
It's such a cool controller.
It's 2 buttons, dive and kick. It's great.
That's amazing.
It's incredible.
I think that's going to be like the fucking game of the future. Like, you want to play competitive fighting, you better learn how to play dive kick.
It really does, like,
bro.
It's insane how competitive you can get over that game as well.
Yeah, with 2 buttons.
Yeah, it's really pure. Like, it's literally taking it down to its purest form. It's pretty nuts. So that's cool game.
It's like playing Street Fighter 1 on the Game Boy.
That showed up in, like, a montage reel as well.
Yeah,
I picked it out.
Sony's montage.
Talking of montage reels, Sony and indies. Like, holy crap, the number of independent developers they got on stage. That was really, really awesome, I thought.
Well, that's because they were like, yeah, you can self-publish. Have fun, guys.
Yeah.
So it's gonna go down like this. It's gonna go Steam, then Sony, and that's it. Because there's only gonna be 2.
Yeah.
For real though, huh?
But well, I guess you could self-publish without Steam. But if you're gonna be on PC and you're not on Steam, what's the point?
Yeah, not a lot of people know this, but
True.
you can self-publish. You can self-publish on the Nintendo eShop as well. But apparently no one cares. So it's a bit of a shame.
I think the main problem there is that the dev kit is so different for like even to go from PC to the Wii U.
Yeah.
Unless you are targeting a Wii U exclusive, I don't think especially an indie developer, I don't think they have the time or the resources available to reach out to a very niche market.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's not like, Steam Greenlight. I mean, if you watch, Indie Static or anything like that, you just see all these fantastic games that are coming out, and, Steam reaches X number of millions of people worldwide, and it's just, man.
I do think that there's a case to be made for...
Man.
Yeah.
I do think there's a case to be made for like games being drowned out on Steam as well, though. Whereas with something like the Nintendo eShop, if you have a big hit on that platform, yes, you're selling to a much smaller user base, but you'll probably sell more copies than you would if you were on Steam, just because you have more laser focus and there's more people who can be willing to buy something that's successful there as opposed to something gets drowned out.
That's a yes and no comment, because I'll pull out the example of Dust the Elysian Tale, a game that was made by one guy.
Yeah.
Got ported to PC. Fantastic port.
It's crazy.
And it was in the top 10 on Steam of all sellers for a couple of weeks. And, I mean, if you have a hit game on Steam, you have a fucking hit game on Steam.
Sure.
But yeah, obviously,
it's a pretty big audience.
If you have one of those games that's kind of middle of the pack, unless you are very focused in on the indie market when you go into Steam, and there are a lot of people who do that because, Steam sales are great, but they're not all the time.
Yeah.
And you'll pick up some indie games, or the Humble Bundle comes out.
Yeah.
But you're totally right in the sense that if you put a game on the Nintendo eShop, if you have a hit on the Nintendo eShop, you don't really have as much competition.
Yeah, exactly. It's lack of competition that you've got there. And that's another thing people are saying about Vita, because there are a few people coming out talking about the store on Vita and how they're selling a lot more on there than if they would publish somewhere else, because it's a very hardcore audience who are willing to eat up these titles as opposed to getting drowned out in somewhere else. So
yeah, I think then the problem becomes with the Nintendo eShop. Most of Nintendo's fans, they don't really, from what I know, they're not huge on third-party games. They stick with Nintendo because for their
I mean that's why you have a Nintendo. If you wanted a third-party game, you would not have a Nintendo.
So then you're not only fighting with becoming known on a console that's not picked up by a lot of people, but now you're fighting against the first-party titles. Whereas on PC, potentially on the PS4, because the games that they showed off. Oddworld? Are you kidding me? Yes, please.
Yeah.
The competition is then, it's not just, yes, it's less, but it's completely different. You're not competing with other indie titles. You're competing with Mario in a cat suit.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. I can't get over it. I can't get over how much I loved Mario in a cat suit.
I think that's like a really cool power-up as well, because I like what they, when you take something and do a lot with it, like if it's a very one-note power-up, I'm not like the fireball suit, great, you shoot fireballs, that's it. Whereas this is like you can climb vertically, you can do like these dives and home in, it's a pretty cool power-up.
I don't want you to diss the fireball, though.
No, I'm not going to diss it, I'm just going to say
because,
that...
Because, hey, the fireball's put in work since 1987.
Well, hell, yeah.
We
only had 2 buttons back then. Can only do 2
Mario
things.
in a cat suit is suddenly the new Mario in a frog suit.
Yeah. Oh, apparently they've confirmed that the frog suit's going to be in this game as well. So
good. Love the frog suit.
Yeah.
I don't know if I love the frog suit.
How can you not love the frog? It's Mario in a frog suit.
It's only good for swimming. I hate swimming. I do like his swirly tail, though.
Yes.
Yeah. They've got that on the logo as well, like the little cat tail at the end of the logo. I
Nice.
think another cool thing about that game is like it feels very Mario 2 because you've got the option to play as the 4 characters, the Mario, Luigi, Toad, and Peach. They're all the Mario 2 characters.
I love that.
So that's cool.
I'll be playing as Toad every time I play that game.
Why?
Yeah.
When Peach was by far the best character in Mario.
Yeah, Peach was really good.
She was blatantly broken.
Yeah.
Because
I'm going
Toad's
to glide.
amazing. Toad's amazing though. I love Toad. He's so cute.
Toad's the fastest character.
Yeah,
He's
so
the excellent character.
I don't know if that's like it. It doesn't sound like a very good thing for Mario to be faster.
No.
Honestly, I think that would only hinder me.
Yeah.
Because I would just get too hasty and like try to run like all crazy, and then like I'm in a lava pit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keeping with Nintendo, but platformers on a Nintendo system, just quickly, because this didn't really get a lot of press, shall we say, at E3. But Sonic Lost World, which is the new Sonic game that's coming out on Wii U, I think that looks really cool. It's very kind of Galaxy-esque, and it does this weird thing where you can literally. You're on this platform, but it's like twisted around, so you can go on all sides. You can be upside down, and it's like 4 different paths. It looks like a really neat game.
I heard about it, but I didn't see anything about it. So that sounds
just
really
look
cool.
up gameplay.
It's one of those games, though. Sonic is one of those franchises. There's no middle ground. You're either Sonic 06 or you're Sonic Generations. There's nothing in between anymore.
Yeah.
But
Sonic 06 was amazing, though.
I'm not starting this with you.
Oh my god.
I know you're not being serious, and I'm not doing this with you.
Meta Knight is a fair and balanced character.
Oh, totally.
Completely.
He's called Meta Knight because he is the meta.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Fizz, you should have a look at gameplay of that because it's a wacky looking game.
I will.
Looks like it's fun.
Am I the only person who I wanted to see it this year, but if Microsoft completely fucks up and you see them slowly going towards the route of the Dreamcast, just so next year all of a sudden Sony's like, we're back in the game.
Yeah.
I would be like instantly, here's all my money. I don't even care what games are on it. I fucking want it.
Dude, it'd be so crazy. Dreamcast 2. Bring it.
Yeah. That's good.
It is. I found out that my Dreamcast plays burned games. That's the best thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, apparently the Dreamcast is really easy to pirate on.
It is.
Yeah. It's only certain systems, though. It has to be made before a certain date. So,
right, okay.
But yeah,
but
if
I
it was made like October 2000, yeah, you can just play burned games. It's awesome.
And you know what? I still think the Dreamcast had some of the best games out there.
Dude, I still have it hooked up. It's probably my second most played console.
Unfortunately, it was EA's withdrawal of Sega that really screwed them over.
Yeah.
But the games that they had were pretty good. Skies of Arcadia is one of my favorite games of all time.
Well, 2K Sports is really good. But, I guess everything else really hurt them.
Well, at the time, EA Sports still had the stranglehold.
Yeah.
There's a reason that there's no NFL 2K anymore.
I know. Which a lot of people would argue was a better franchise.
Yeah. Dreamcast had, all the good fighting games. All of them.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure that the people still play the Dreamcast if they're going to play, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 in a competitive scene.
I have that downloaded and turned onto a disc.
Because it was made before October 2006?
Yeah. 2000.
Whatever it was.
Yeah. So, you guys, I think we're kind of winding down, and I'm just going to ask you one last thing. What is the best and worst thing about each conference? Each of the major conferences. We don't really have to get into Ubisoft and EA unless you want to. Unless you really want to, then you go for it.
All right. The best thing about the Microsoft conference for me was The Witcher 3 because I love that series. The worst thing was the fact that they couldn't show off their own gameplay footage. They had to go to PC.
Yeah, that's quite a shame.
I'll say EA because I'm just gonna wind it down with one word: DICE was the best thing about EA. The worst thing about EA was the like 40 minutes of EA Sports.
Yep, can agree there.
Yep.
I'll do Ubisoft too because the Division is probably one of my highlights for the entire conference.
Sure.
Bring it on.
The rest of it, whatever. We'll throw the rest of the conference in the Yeah, just actually I can't even put the whole rest of the conference because the crew is in the Ubisoft conference. So
yeah. Just us 4.
Sure. I think Tyler was worse. I don't like
Tyler.
Sony is pretty easy. The entire thing was the best, and the worst was that we didn't actually see gameplay footage of Kingdom Hearts 3.
Sure. Yeah.
It's just a teaser.
Yeah. NBZ?
Let's see, Microsoft. I'd say, probably best would be Project Spark. I thought that's the thing that interested me the most.
Definitely.
Worst, I would go that stupid video of the guy cascading down a building and then we zoomed in on his gun. Because what the fuck was that? Like, he's a weird kind of CG thing. We don't know what it is yet, but here it is. Like,
my god, let me interject for a second. The best thing about the conference as a whole, hands down, was the rabbits cartoon thing where they're like pointing at the screen, throwing egg. Totally the best. That's like give me that. Just give me that. I want it.
Yeah, that was the worst thing today.
It's so brutal. It's not the worst things I've ever seen.
That was the worst thing. I would say Mirror's Edge probably. I think that was a really, really good announcement.
That's why I just said DICE because they didn't.
It pleased so many people. Like that's gonna just as long as they do it justice.
Oh, you can tell that EA is really trying to fix their reputation. What did everybody want to see from EA this year? Battle, or at least when they found out that they
Star Wars
Battlefront and Mirror's Edge 2.
Yeah.
What do we get? Battlefront and Mirror's Edge 2. Now they need to make Mirror's Edge 2 with Oculus Rift support.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's what I'm looking.
That would be.
I'd say maybe EA didn't have any new IPs on show, honestly. So maybe a little bit disappointing there because most of the other companies did. But EA Sports was just whatever. I don't give a fuck. So they can what they like. And then Ubisoft, just fucking Rayman, and I'd go Division probably. Although I think Watch Dogs still is looking stellar, and that title I'm very excited for.
But I'd have to put that under Sony's conference.
Sure, I guess because
all they did was show the trailer that got leaked the night before at the Ubisoft conference.
Yeah, that is true. Even
so I would rather lock that into the company that actually showed off gameplay footage. And I need to get my hands on the game before I can really pass judgment, because I'm still deathly afraid it's going to be Assassin's Creed 2.0, where I'll play for 20 minutes and be like, I'm doing the same thing over and over. Kind of bull.
There is that risk with it, so
yeah.
It is a bit on the edge, I guess.
But it does look really good.
It does
Definitely.
look really good.
It really does.
Yeah, that was interesting that both of Ubisoft's like marquee titles, Assassin's Creed and Watch Dogs, were both gameplay demoed at Sony's event, which I found kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then Sony, I'd say Infamous was highlight. Although in terms of new news, I would say Final Fantasy 15. That's another one that I'm excited for.
I was really surprised that they just canned versus 13 to make 15.
I think it's a really smart move on their part.
Well, yeah, it's
the
really
branding
smart
behind versus 13 is so fucked up at this point that it's just get a fresh start, have a clean slate, go 15. It's just better for marketing purposes.
Oh yeah,
and everything.
Definitely.
I was just when it actually just went from the logo versus 13 to 15, I was like, oh, they finally just decided to cancel that game. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because now I don't have to hear about it anymore.
Worst thing about Sony's conference was lack of Last Guardian / it is on hiatus again, and we will never hear about that game ever in history. Apparently it's still being worked on and they don't have time. Maybe we'll see it at TGS, the Tokyo Game Show, but who knows.
I'm glad you said that for people who don't know what TGS is.
Yeah.
Why is the Game Station premiering this?
The Game Station are making Last Guardian?
Does that mean Machinima's going to get in on it too?
Yeah.
Is it going to be a live action thing on Machinima?
And then for Nintendo, I'd say Smash Brothers, and then the worst thing was the disappointment about Retro with Donkey Kong. That's me for that. So.
I didn't really want to say Nintendo because they didn't have a conference.
Well, yeah.
Nintendo Direct doesn't count. I'm sorry.
Well, whatever.
It does.
It was good. It was good for what they needed it to be, but it wasn't a real.
Sure.
Okay, fair. I'm gonna say for Xbox, the best and worst. I'd say probably the best thing. I'm gonna be really biased and say the new Halo game looks like, I don't know. I mean, like you don't see anything from it, but the teaser trailer looked really cool. God.
Why is it full armor wearing a cloak?
Yeah.
To be hidden from everything else, obviously.
He's a Spartan. He's like 2 feet taller than everybody else.
Maybe he doesn't want sand in his gears.
Why are there gears? He's not a robot.
The thing I didn't like about the Halo reveal was like it was looking like this really cool new bold IP, and then
they really were like. I was like, oh.
I know what the worst thing about the Sony conference was.
What?
I thought Mad Max was going to be Fallout 4. That's what the worst thing was. And I was like,
yeah,
so true.
I'm like, lots of people thinking that.
But no. I'd probably actually say Titanfall was probably the best thing there. The worst thing is that they didn't retract any of their previous policy announcements, or kind of give us any incentive to kind of forget about them. I'd say for what was next, like E3. I mean, not E3, EA.
Yeah, E3. E3 was next. There was the Microsoft conference, and then there was E3.
Yeah. I won't doubt it for next year, man. They'll just be like, fuck it, we don't need E3. Obviously, Battlefront 3 is the best thing in the world.
It's not Battlefront 3, it's just Battlefront. In fact, it's Battlefront 1, because it's going to be on the Xbox One.
Yeah, Battlefront 1.
Okay.
No, I think it's actually just going to be called Star Wars Battlefront because they're
new Halo fans. Halo 1.
Because it's going to be like yeah. But Battlefront is the best thing. You show me a 28-second clip of it, and I'm excited. I can't wait until next year when they cancel the project.
When Disney goes bankrupt and LucasArts has to retake over the company.
This will be like when I got really excited for StarCraft Ghost. And then... don't shut that up. And then EA Sports is terrible and boring. I couldn't care less about Madden 25. The big news there was that they added in the turbo button again. Big whoop-de-doo.
You know what though? I cared more about Madden 25 than I care about dribble tech.
Well, I didn't even watch.
5 minutes. You can now dribble the ball.
I didn't pay attention to anything that was like EA Sports pretty much. I had the pleasure of watching it later, so I skipped it.
Good. Yeah, that is a benefit. I'm gonna lie.
Yeah. Ubisoft. I can't say Watch Dogs, so Division, I guess, was pretty awesome.
But even if you could say Watch Dogs, would you put Watch Dogs over the Division? Considering that the Division came out of nowhere?
Yeah.
No, I can't. You're right. No. Division, I'd say, is the best. Watch Dogs would be second best. The worst would be Rocksmith 2014. Because I thought we were done with music games, and I wish that we were. Then later comes Sony. The best thing about Sony in the world was they were super cutthroat. The fact that they're only going to be it's a $400 console. The fact that PS Plus is way better than XBL Gold. And they and the worst part about it is other than those like two things, I think it was a pretty mediocre conference. I don't think it was awful. I don't think it was exceptionally well. But then again, I've not played Kingdom Hearts, so if I had, maybe
it's really based off the kind of franchises you like.
So if I had been a Kingdom Hearts fan, I'm sure I would have been shitting myself.
I would like to make one more final comment in comparison to Microsoft, because we didn't mention it. During their conference, Microsoft did state that they will be giving out 2 free games with Xbox Live.
That's true.
And people are like, so they're coming. Yeah, it's coming. It's also only going to be a promotion until the Xbox One comes out.
Yeah.
Whereas, PlayStation Plus, I mean, they haven't said we're gonna stop giving you free games, and I don't see them doing that.
No.
Yeah.
But I mean, there was a big, oh man, Microsoft's giving us 2 free games. Yeah, it's great, but
2 free games that are 5 years old.
Yeah. For however many months until the Xbox One comes out, great. You've gotten like 8 free games. I got 8 free games when I installed PlayStation Plus.
I don't think you tried at all, Microsoft. It really does.
The other thing from Sony we didn't mention was their one new IP, which was the Order 1886, which was like this steampunk kind of.
That looked really good.
Yeah.
Actually.
It looked very interesting, yeah. But that was really the only new exclusive that they showed off.
Is the Dark Sorcerer exclusive? I don't remember.
Well, that's not really a game. That was like a tech demo.
No, I think it's actually going to be a game.
Really?
I think
Does it seem.
they went off and it was something separate. You'd have to go look it up.
Right.
I didn't actually watch the day after stuff, so it is possible that it is actually going to be a game. I don't know for sure. If it is, well, then that's another new IP. But they did state that there's like however many games Worldwide Studios is working on, 30, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot. Well, they said there's 12 new IPs, 20 new games, and 20 new exclusive games, I think, and 12 of them a new IP. Shuhei Yoshida said.
Yeah, I didn't remember that. If it's made by their Worldwide Studios, it's obviously going to be exclusive.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I loved how they handled that entire thing. It was just completely fourth wall breaking. It was really funny.
That was that was great.
I have a quick question.
I mean, watching that, I was like, this is going to suddenly turn into some sort of comedy. I can tell.
Yeah.
And then I was like, yes.
Quick question, you guys. I may have missed it. The Sony said they support used games and all that jazz.
Yes.
What I also heard from a source that may not be reliable is that they're going to actually let the developers decide about used games.
That's from Microsoft.
That's what I heard.
No.
But
Sony have said in terms of, it's basically the same infrastructure as they had on PS3, where EA implemented online passes and stuff like that. They're just basically sticking to that same infrastructure.
I mean, Sony doesn't have a choice in that anyway.
Right.
But I mean, I probably was one of the only people who didn't think online pass was a bad thing.
Yeah, I don't think it's
a terrible thing.
Like, people thought it was this terrible thing. I was like, you just bought a game for less than half price. Who cares if you paid $5 to play it online?
Yeah. It's not that big of a deal. I'm totally okay with it.
I mean, there were some games where I was like, okay, online pass is kind of stupid. On like Batman, Arkham City.
I'll never use it.
Buying a sports title, you're not.
Necessary.
I mean, odds are you're gonna play at least one game online, or you bought it for like $20 anyway. So who the fuck cares? So that's one of the things that EA does that I didn't care about. And when they were like, oh, no more online passes, like.
Well,
it's going to be funny though going into this generation with Sony saying that they're not supporting any of this DRM stuff. Will EA bring back online passes and be like, oh, by the way, we didn't know this was going to happen?
Just for Sony. Just for Sony.
Yeah.
They wouldn't do that.
But anyways, I'll give you my really quick best and worst for Nintendo to kind of wrap it all up. Smash Brothers and Cat Mario tie for the best.
Cat Mario.
I'd say the worst.
Wii Party U, right?
What was it? Oh yeah, definitely that.
Wii Party.
Wii Party was definitely the worst. Yeah.
I was so sad. I got so excited when the Wii U was announced. And then it came out and there was like nothing for it, and I was like, oh, could have waited a year.
Yeah.
I
think they had to though. Like, they didn't have really a choice, but then they had no game.
The Wii was fine. The Wii was doing really well.
We had a horrible last 2 years. Like, nothing was coming out. It was a dry spell.
Yeah.
Oh, I completely forgot to mention the game that I'm probably looking forward to the most, which was shown at Nintendo, which was X, the follow-up to Xenoblade, which I'm just.
Did you ever finish Xenoblade?
No, I'm 40 hours into it. It takes time. But that game looks so fucking great. Oh my lord. That's the one like real hardcore piece they have for the system. It is coming out in 2014. But Monolith stopped.
I'm always so upset with Nintendo. They came out with the Wii. And the Wii was like they came out with the Wii, and the Wii was like this groundbreaking. It was a risk.
Yeah.
But that's like the only risk they've ever done. They even
it's
this
a
year.
little
This year
risky.
was super safe.
Well, yeah. In terms of E3, certainly
Like,
it was a very safe.
Nintendo. I don't know if it's just they're afraid to take really big risks after the Wii, but
I think that they feel like taking risks will not help them financially. I think that
No.
they're just betting on the games that are going to make them money because they're not in a good financial situation right now. And putting out stuff like Mario 3D World, which will probably sell more copies than a Galaxy game would, just because, like in Japan especially, that kind of Mario game is much more appealing.
yeah.
And those kind of more safe experiences they think are going to benefit them more financially. So it's a little bit cynical. They're not being as creative. They're being much more coming from a business perspective as opposed from creative standpoint.
I would just like to see them in the midst of all of this, and I think X is the closest thing we're gonna get for at least another year.
Certainly, yeah.
Bring out, be like, hey guys, this is pretty fucking cool. Like if there's that old Mega Man first-person shooter, kind of Metroid Prime-esque game. You could pick that up, Nintendo. That would sway me to buy a Wii U.
Yeah, I don't think Capcom's letting go of Mega Man though.
But they don't have to.
Yeah.
Like it's not like aside from like PlayStation Store, there hasn't been a real Mega Man game on any other console that's not Sony or not Nintendo.
True.
Yeah.
I guess they had some on PlayStation X, but...
So, guys, any last-minute comments you want to throw out there about E3?
E3 was great.
It was a big show, yeah. One of the best in a long, long time.
There is so much to be excited for.
I was absolutely completely
I'm not forgetting
satisfied with
Bayonetta 2, Nagi. I'm ignoring it completely because I will not play Bayonetta 2 on a Nintendo console. I would rather play that game on Kinect, because if I'm going to flail around like an idiot, I might as well be doing it in front of a Kinect.
Hey man, you might as well just pick up Dragon Ball Z Connect. So, the bottom line is E3 was great this year. I think we've all pretty much got something great out of it. And I think at the end of the day, we all probably should start hooking at the end of the corners, because there's way too much that we all need to purchase. Agreed?
My wallet. Yeah.
The Scrolls Online.
Yeah, that was cool too. So that being said,
yeah.
I think...
was that...
Yes?
I was asking what Nub said there after I...
No, I was just going to say there wasn't even any mention of all these 3DS games that are coming out that I'm going to be fucking bled dry on, like Phoenix Wright and fucking all these other things.
Oh man, the Phoenix Wright...
who needs another 3DS game?
Cross Professor Layton.
That is...
Oh yeah, that's right.
That is probably the game over Fire Emblem that I would get a 3DS4, and I love the Fire Emblem franchise.
Yeah.
I've played almost everyone out there that I've been able to get an English patch of.
I'm curious to see how they're gonna cross it up. I guess I don't know. It's gonna be
already
fun.
been released in Japan. Like,
then there's the teaser that they showed off of Fire Emblem Cross.
Should become potentially,
that's
on Wii U as well.
That would fucking pretty sweet too.
It's gonna be bonkers. It's gonna be so Japanese it hurts.
I don't know how they're possibly gonna do that, Cross, because that's
no idea.
It's a fantasy realm, and then isn't SMT based in like Japan?
Yeah,
I think in Japan.
Yeah, will be interesting.
Well, I think that's a place as good as any to end it, and I thank you guys for coming in and being on my channel and doing a podcast with me.
Yeah, that's
no problem.
And I thank everyone else for watching it at home in the chat room and later on YouTube.
Are we doing selfless plugs and whatnot? Or?
Please do.
Dobbs, take it away, man.
Hi, I'm NBZ. I do things on YouTube, youtube.com/EmperorZnibben. EmperorZnib. No Connor Obus, indeed. I do the Twitters, twitter.com/LordMBZ. It's below my name, in fact, @LordMBZ. So, good job with that, Jake. Getting the Twitter handles.
Yeah, thank you, Jake, for making the background today. That was awesome.
Indeed.
And Jake, would you like to shamelessly plug yourself?
Sure, why not? So, first off, I'd like to thank you guys for coming out to watching. Those of you who came out live, and if you're watching the VOD on YouTube, that is awesome. Hopefully you guys can leave your thoughts and opinions about E3 and anything we had to say down there in the comment section.
It would be great.
Plug some fizz and stuff. But I'm Jake JakeJayWalker. You guys may have formerly known me as High in Fiber. And I've got some stuff being worked on right now. I am going to be starting up a new channel in the next month or so. I'm just waiting to hear back from my fantastic graphic designer, and I'm grabbing some footage for that. So if you want to see some gameplay review kind of stuff, some wacky, zany adventures, that's the kind of stuff you'll be able to see on my new channel. But if you follow me on Twitter at JakeJayWalker, which is below my face right now, you'll be able to get some more information on the new channel as it happens. And thanks, Fizz, for having me out here. I always love this kind of stuff. The 2.5 Gamers pseudo return.
Yeah, man. Definitely thank you. And I love everything zany, so I can't wait for the new channel. If you enjoyed...
Some pretty sweet ideas coming for this.
That's good. I'm happy. I'm glad. I've missed
I will say this, and I'm sure I know you'll remember this, but I don't know if Nubs will. But there may be in the future episode 1 of Control-Alt-Delete.
Nice.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah.
Excellent. So I'd like to thank everyone for coming out. I am FizzyStardust, and that's where you will find me on YouTube. My Twitter is right there, and I'd love it if you followed me because I say silly things often, I think. And if you like...
His Twitter's not like NBZ's Twitter, where NBZ's like, I have uploaded a video. I'm going to talk about...
I tweet a lot these days.
About The Apprentice,
To be fair, it's a lot better now. I think I've refollowed him.
I stopped pushing my Facebook notifications, so it's cleaned up a bit.
That's good. Yeah. So please, if you like this video, go ahead and subscribe. If you guys are just found your way into this little chat room thing, go ahead and check out my channel and all these other guys as well. And hopefully we'll see you in the future for something like this or something different. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys later. Bye.
Bye.